So I finished the engine swap in this thing a few weeks ago. I've been daily driving this last, I don't know, 3 weeks or so. It runs okay, had no problems so far. But here's the thing. The engine I swapped in is not exactly identical to the one that came out from this. So all Australian E28 535s had low compression ratio engines. This one is high compression ratio version, which makes more power, but it doesn't have a catalytic converter and O2 sensor. So this engine with its ECU, it doesn't have a feedback loop from O2 sensor. And I was curious what the air-fuel ratio is in this thing at the moment. So I installed wideband O2 sensor, and I've been monitoring maybe last week. Been driving around and keeping an eye on it. And what I found out, so at idle, the air-fuel ratio is about 12.7. Under light cruising or light load, it's about 13. Medium load, the air-fuel ratio is about 15. And wide open throttle, it's 12.5. And to me, it's surprising how consistent the numbers are. Every day, hot or cold, always the numbers are the same. So something is not right. Before I start adjusting AFM or anything else, I just double check the fuel pressure regulator, because faulty fuel pressure regulator could have similar symptoms what I'm seeing now. Although before I swapped the motor in, I tested this fuel pressure regulator, so it's quite unlikely it's faulty, but it's fairly easy to do, so I just do it now. Now, if I unplug this vacuum hose, I do two things. I create vacuum leak, so that will lean out the mixture. But at the same time, I lose the vacuum reference, so the fuel pressure will rise, and that will richen the air-fuel ratio. So I'm going to plug this end so I don't have vacuum leak, and I do this with this vacuum gauge just for fun. And then let's do this. Now let's create vacuum leak. I watched the footage and I came to a conclusion: the FBR is working as intended. I'm not really surprised, but it's good to know. I was expecting a little bit bigger difference when the vacuum reference was removed, but I guess that's how it is. So for next, it will be interesting to swap over the ECU to 059, low compression ratio ECU. Also have this performance chip here. I wonder what the air-fuel ratios would with this combo be. But I'm not going to do this today, because I don't have time to muck around with it, and this is not going to fix our rich idle issue. So I think we have to play with this airflow meter. I have one on the table here. So the way AFR works, there is a flap door in the path of air, and as the engine consumes more air, it swings this variable resistor, and that's how ECU knows how much air is engine consuming at the time. And this thing is calibrated. There is a spring tension here, there is a screw glued in certain spots. So by changing the spring tension and basically by fiddling with this mechanism here, we can manually adjust air-fuel ratio. But that's not all. There is a screw here. This is for adjusting idle mixture. So I think this screw here bypasses some air from the meter, so it's unmetered air, and I think I just need to open this up to allow more unmetered air into engine. I believe that's all it takes to get my rich idle sorted. There's actually a number here, 25.0. I remember somewhere reading about it. I think that should be the distance, like a factory calibration, measured from the top to the screw. Let's see. Yep, that's 25 mil. So this appears to be factory calibration. I have no idea if the airflow meter in the car is calibrated. I didn't check the screw. Now I have opened it up 2 full turns. That's not a big difference. No, that's fail. I turned that screw maybe 6-7 full turns. I'm afraid this screw will fall out if I keep turning like this. And we are still nowhere near target AFR. So I removed the airflow meter. So the one I was playing with before, I mounted here temporarily. It looks very crusty. Let's see if it works. So this crusty airflow meter behaves exactly the same as the one that was in the car before. So what are the chances they are both faulty exactly the same way? I'd say the airflow meter that was in the car works just fine. So there's something else wrong. By the way, I forgot to mention, in the manifold there is cold start injector. I unplugged that in case that was pissing. So that had no effect either. So it's gotta be something else. I'm wondering if I have my vacuum hoses plugged in incorrectly somehow. And this engine actually came with EGR. It had different manifolds and different airbox. But that shouldn't affect because it didn't bypass airflow meter. I don't know, I could be wrong. Actually, this is the moment I should really stop fiddling with this stuff and start doing more research. So I've been messing around with this for a while and I don't know what exactly the problem is. When I unplugged this vacuum hose here, that brought the air-fuel ratio up to where I'd expect it to be. I don't think this is the problem here, but this is roughly the amount of air that should be unmetered, or I don't know how to explain it. This is a fuel tank breather hose. And there isn't that many vacuum lines that could be mixed up, so I'm a little bit confused. I think for now, I'm going to take the AFM, put it back in here with the air filter, and I do some research and think about it for a couple of days. Because I could adjust the spring tension here to get the AFR bang on, but I feel like something else is off, so I don't want to mess with it just yet. I've opened up that idle screw as much as I was comfortable with. Reinstalled the airflow meter with airbox. Let's take it for a quick test drive, see how it behaves. Ooh, nighttime. So adjusting that idle screw made bigger difference than I initially thought. So this is idle at the moment. Now this is cruising. Now medium acceleration. wide open throttle. Now, where are we at with the tuning? Let's draw a little graph. So initially, what we had like idle was like fuel ratio was about 12. Under load, light cruising, it was like 13. So it was something like this, and it was 12 and a half. After turning that idle screw,
so fuel ratio idle speed somewhere here, then here.
now currently air fuel ratio is nearly 16 at certain points under load. I don't like it. So I'm not a tuner, but this is what I would expect to look right, and I could be wrong. So I'd expect something like this. As the load increases, the air fuel ratio would reach up to around 12 and a half at wide open throttle. So it's kind of opposite what we have now. I'm not sure I can create this curve by playing with the airflow meter, spring tension and calibration. Maybe it can be done, but I'm not too sure. Before I attempt, I will do some research.